Now, the oil and gas company Shell has won its appeal against a landmark climate ruling in the Netherlands. Now, the ruling in 2021 had ordered the oil and gas company to sharply reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2030, including those caused by the use of its products. Now, Shell had argued that the ruling would force it to shrink its business without any benefit to the fight against climate change, as customers would simply find new suppliers. Well, let's hear the reaction then to that appeal ruling from one environmentalist.
The fight against dangerous climate change is a marathon, not a sprint, and the race has only just begun. Shell is and remains one of the world's biggest polluters and must take responsibility for solving the climate problem. We will persevere, we will not give up, we will ensure that major polluting companies take responsibility.
Well, we're going to cross now to Amsterdam, talk to our correspondent who joins us from there, Fernande Von Tets. Fernande, what exactly then is this judgment?
So the judge ruled that this 2021 ruling, that it would reverse on that. So no longer does Shell need to reduce emissions by 45% by 2030 compared to the 2019 levels. And it's no longer responsible for curtailing the output of the users of its products. Now, of course, there were some things that were won by the other side. One is that the protection from climate change has been ruled to be a human right. So Shell has a responsibility to protect citizens from the effects of climate change. But the judge said that indeed curtailing or punishing Shell's clients for the use of its products would be futile because they would simply go to another supplier, therefore not reducing CO2 emissions in the long run. But of course, a huge win for Shell here today because that ruling, of course, had caused a lot of consternation, was followed around the world, and a huge win for Shell here on that front.
Yeah, you're outside the Shell building there. What's been the response then from Shell?
So Shell, of course, very happy. The environmentalists say that they do see reasons to appeal, so this might not be over yet. They haven't said that. They're just looking at it for now. They say they see some wins, for example, the fact that human rights, protection from climate change has been seen as a human right. But we also need to look at the larger context of this. Since this, there's been a slew of action related to climate change around the world. In France, for example, environmentalists have taken Total to court. In Italy, we have a case against Eni. We have a case in Germany against car manufacturers. So they're already saying, look, we already have achieved that. But this... And also, the European regulatory landscape has changed. So in 2024, in July earlier this year, a directive was implemented by the European Council saying that all companies should abide by the Paris Climate Accords. So also the regulatory landscape is shifting. So already companies are being held to account more than they were previously. Shell had been preparing to appeal against this. They'd already had a lawyer actually present in court before this ruling came through, getting ready to go into cassation, as it's called here, the highest form of appeal possible. And now it seems that the other side needs to be looking at that, whether that's a possibility and whether they see any possibility to reverse this verdict yet again. But a very happy day for Shell here, for sure.
Fernande, thanks very much. Fernande Von Tets reporting for us from Shell's headquarters in Amsterdam.